So that's boxing at its finest right there. You heard it. They said it. Make that bet. Everything on the line.
Gervonta is an animal for real. Jake is too domestic. Here's the thing. Mike Tyson's an animal too. He was just 60. But he messed around, rattled. See, when it's all said and done, the whole talking shit goes out the window. Jake's scared. And let me tell you this too. I looked at that. I'm sizing them up. I'm looking at Tank and Jake, and I'm looking at them. Tank can reach him too. He reached Ryan Garcia. He reached Mario Barrios. I was like, he ain't gonna be able to reach him. He's gonna reach him. I saw it. Tank's gonna reach him. He knows he's gonna reach him. Listen, I want to say this too. Funny as hell. Before I say all this, Alicia Bumgardner, shout out to you, girl. I couldn't believe out of all the women to be the first one to do 3 minute, 12 rounds is Alicia Bumgardner. And I really know if I have a great endurance, great stamina, and she's doing this shit. Shout out to Alicia Bumgardner. Because what's her name? Layla? I don't really know her like that. But she looks like she ain't rattled by Alicia. So that's a perfect dance partner for that. Try to drag Alicia Bumgardner into lake water, see what's going on with that. Shout out to Alicia Bumgardner. But let's get back to Tank. First of all, Tank knows what he's doing. Tank Davis, he said, he was just making all these implications that it's going to be scripted. When he said, you're paying me, and then he was like, yo, you're going to have to give me extra. And then he said that this is scripted.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You paying me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
40. Where 40 at?
Gervonta Davis is training harder than ever, showing relentless focus and power as he prepares to prove that real boxing skill will crush showbiz. The adult warns that Jake Paul's Cal out of prime. Gervonta Davis may be his biggest mistake yet, exposing the vast gap between an entertainer and a
No, who will win in this fight? Jake Paul or Tank Davis? It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. They have weight classes for a reason.
Tank Davis
They have weight classes for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Dog.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135 pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30 pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30 pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake.
Some boxing experts warn that Gervonta Davis may be taking on too much this time, as Jake Paul's size and strength could test the limits of Tank's power and skill against an
conference, and you can tell, you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's going to get this money for sure because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games. Don't hit him in the back of the head. Don't rabbit punch him. Don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not going to have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash, like you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I got to say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn. That this turn of these exhibition fights and people not caring about the belts and all of that stuff came with
press conference. Gervonta Davis stood calm, confident, and focused, a true professional unfazed by Jake Paul's theatrics, proving that real champions rely on skill, discipline, and purpose.
So I liked this when I heard it. No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter. He can punch, and he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa, 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 whoa. Do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else that just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have to bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if? What if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air. Bang! And he hits him. Sid Terrace was a great fighter. No, not the 1700s, but years ago. And Cus D'Amato told me he loves Sid Terrace. He said, Teddy, he used to jump up in the air and hit you with 3 jabs. I said, whoa, man, Sid Terrace. All right. Anyway, look, I can't finish without saying that it did invoke some memories and thoughts that we've been here before in a different way, where Jake Paul's brother fought Mayweather. That's not forget. And I'm not saying I like that either.
Fight with Gervonta Davis, to Logan Paul's bout with Mayweather, predicting that while Jake's size may help, Tank's elite experience, timing, and ring intelligence will ultimately dominate.
Different. It's not different in the sense of a boxer in his prime or relative prime straying off the path, but this one is not. It's not like someone else, in a similar weight. It's like completely the opposite, and so that makes it, I think, look and feel weird. And then on top of it, obviously, Gervonta's got other business to handle. He looked to me, Gervonta, absolutely, completely disinterested. Even at the beginning of this year, and even at the pre-fight Lamont Roach stuff, Tank was talking about how much time he has left in boxing, and he was sort of wasn't much. The Lamont Roach fight, it blew up in his face, but Lamont Roach was cherry picked. I think Tank thought, I'll just fight another guy from, the Mid-Atlantic area who's, remember Roach came up from 30 to 35 to fight him, and Tank thought he was just going to cruise, and then it blew up in his face, and you're left with that. So you're making a point about he's got this obligation. That's true, but he was already fucking around. He was already taking opponents that, again, I think Roach showed everyone that was a mistake, but put yourself in Tank's mind. Tank was taking a fight against someone he was clearly, in his mind anyway, better than, and was just going to cruise. So he was already in that state. Then you marry that with statements like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this and blah, blah, blah. And, I'm worried about going to therapy because it'll take away my competitive edge. And, kind of teetering on the edge a little bit about like whether or not this is a thing he wants to do. Then he, there's a draw in that.
Observed a calmer, more reflective Gervonta Davis ahead of his fight with Jake Paul, noting that his focus now extends beyond fame or money. It's about defending boxing's legacy with discipline.
Left hand down the pipe. You can even see here, I'm not even trying to do the whole body language breakdown, but you could even see Tank could get under that left hand because he's 5-0. He could roll under that left hand, and here comes the brick hand over the top. If he lands something like that in 10 ounces, I'm going to tell you this. Jake's 200 and something pounds. That's still going to hurt at the very least, and who knows what, because Tank's got ridiculous power. So Jake, a little sloppy on the push there. He got pushed. He wanted to get it back. There's something to be taken away from that, but lines up perfectly for a counter left hand. And you even see his promoter here is kind of grabbing his left hand because Tank wanted to let it fly. And Jake backed up a little bit. He said, oh, and Tank comes with that. Tank, man. Tank said, where I'm from, the bullies get bullied. All right, dude, there you go. Listen, takeaways from this thing, I don't know. Tank seemed to have a little bit more energy today. He seemed to be more lively. Him going back and forth with the media, with Jay Leon, with Jake, with Aiden Ross. There seemed to be a bit more energy today. That's all I really asked for. So in terms of, selling us on something, sure. Better job today from both guys. Jake, seemed a bit more locked in here with Tank as well. They had a little bit more fun. Tank going after Nikisa was pretty funny. But listen, this doesn't change anything in my mind. The 10-ounce gloves doesn't really change anything to me. I mean, again, I think that's a bad idea for Tank, more so because even if Jake doesn't land clean, those are 10-ounce gloves, still going to hurt. Tank is still punching in gloves that are 2 ounces heavier than he normally uses, so I don't know how that's a win for him. The $2 million bet almost certainly won't happen, which I didn't think would in the first place, but Tank pretty much confirmed it. And we're all left with the same kind of idea that we thought about this to begin with. This is an entertainment exhibition that we know is going to draw a ton of eyeballs. I'm going to watch, and there's going to be great high-level competition boxing on the underneath card. And even in the main event, if something is to happen, if someone is to get knocked out, it will go mega viral. And both these guys...
Between Jake Paul and Gervonta, Davis perfectly captures the blurred line between spectacle and true competition, a showdown between Jake's celebrity power and Tank's pure boxing mastery.
195 max weight.
Okay.
10 3-minute rounds.
Okay.
And 12-ounce gloves. And most of you guys know boxing, right? Most of the fights are with 10-ounce gloves. Fighters spar in 16-ounce gloves. 12-ounce and 10-ounce gives you a little bit more safety, which is the key here, given the size difference, but there's a massive experience difference. We will have 3 world-class judges ringside that the commission has approved to ensure there's a rendered decision for the fans. It will not go on their record, but there will be 3 experienced judges, some of the best in the business, giving their view of who won the fight.
So let me just follow up with this then. The Florida statute says that it means an exhibition means a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts.
You saw the exhibition of Floyd and Logan. Okay. So just go with that, and if they weren't trying to hit each other, then tell me.
Face Gervonta Davis in an exhibition match. Quote, you can't do a fight like that as a pro fight, Shipman said. It'll be an exhibition fight, end quote. Similarly to the concerning location move, he states that the main reason for this is the significant weight disparity between the 2 opponents. An exhibition is defined by Florida statutes as a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts engagement in which persons participating show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win, using strikes, elbows, blah, blah, blah. So, the key word here is, key phrase, show or display their skills without necessarily striving